Hello, my name is Jim Reid. I was chairman of the building committee, and part of the anniversary, I've been asked if I'd give a little story on the new building. So I'm going to try to take about 15 or 16 years of work and summarize it in about 15 minutes, so you'll have to bear with me. Why did we look to build? And there's a lot of reasons, but we had the facility on Main Street, and you've seen a little review on that. We had trouble with parking. We actually had 2 kids hit running across the road, and parking was a major concern. We needed more room. Difficult trying to fit everything into it and so on. We were on 3 floors, which very difficult, sometimes the age groups and so on, but it made it a very expensive operation of the facility. So to start with, we looked at a feasibility study to try to figure out what we could do with the existing facility. So in 2005, we hired Fred McWilliams and his class from the community college to do a feasibility study. They came down, they reviewed our services, they reviewed all the different things that were going on within the church. So the end result, they came back with a proposal just over $900,000 to try to bring the facility up to date, up to code, and to improve a few areas. Some of the areas that did not improve, we were still on 3 floors, and it did not increase any of our parking. So it did not meet the needs of the church at that time. So in 2008, May 15th, there was a motion to move ahead to look to build new. And that vote of the membership was over 90% to look to build new. The next question was where and what to build. We had meetings, lots of meetings, and we had a lot of people in and trying to find out what they were looking for. And I can remember the first meeting. We wanted, first step, 30 acres on the water and sewer for the village, close to the school. Said we weren't looking for very much, but wow, that was quite a bit to try to fit in. So we looked at sites. We didn't worry about whether they were for sale or not. We just sat down and said, here's 15, 16, 17 sites that could meet our needs. First one, our choice, was here on the Brom property where our building is at this time. It was too expensive, very, very expensive. So we looked at a lot of the other options, and I think we were down to number 14 site, looking at them, trying to make them work, see what we could do, and so on. But a year later, one of the members on my building committee, Carrie, came and said, you know, I think I could swing a deal. I could buy that property, 70 acres. I could donate 50 acres to the church and keep 20 or so for myself and build houses on it and make it work. So that's what was presented. That's what the membership voted on to accept it, although they didn't know who was donating it at that time. So we sat down and had a large group of people involved. What are your wishes? What do we need in the building? And with everybody's wish list, we had a building of about 40,000 square feet and a cost of about $7.5 million. So we knew that wasn't going to work. So we hired Andrew McGilvery, Architects 4, who's done more churches and designed more churches than anybody around. We also hired John Rice Construction to build the facility. And after massaging that 40,000 square feet, we got it down to what you see here today, 20,600 square feet at about $3 million project. Lots of meetings, lots of discussions, and we were going to build in phases. The first phase would have no gym, no kitchen, no youth room that you see down the end of the hall and so on. We managed to find enough money after people supported great effort to support it and so on, that they would allow us to build the walls for that whole area, that lowered gym area, kitchen, and so on, but nothing else in it. And that is how we built the first phase. You could not go beyond the hall. There was no way to get to. There was nothing finished in that area. There wasn't going to be any flooring, but we put up a chart. People were asking, what would it cost to do that classroom? What would it cost to do the foyer? So we posted that, and people picked them up. So we managed to get all the flooring done, which we had not originally planned. So after the first year of operation, we held a fundraiser on one Sunday. People wanted a kitchen. They wanted a gym. So we said, well, we'll see what comes in that one Sunday. $73,000 came that Sunday, along with some more money shortly after. So we were able to get the gym built, youth room and classroom, which were to be originally a 5-year program down the road, but we were able to do that after the first year. Shortly after that, we were able to do the kitchen. So, and give you some details on the project itself, 2012 was construction year and so on, and 2013 we moved into the building, and we had the joy of seeing Dorothy Crawford, a 103-year-old member of the church, cut the ribbon. The building project itself, it was a ministry. The building project was a ministry. We had Bibles in French and English, and we passed them out to all the workers. I'll give you one story. We had a bulldozer operator one day when I was on the site, and I can remember him getting into the bulldozer, and he set his lunchbox on the tread. Got into the cab, drove ahead, and just as I was hollering, trying to catch up to it, there was his lunch underneath the treads. Dave wasn't real happy at that time, but Dave came to the Lord shortly after that. We're very thankful for that. The prayer cross. What's it take to have a building project? And without prayer, it would never have happened. If you look at the front of our church in the sanctuary, there's a cross there full of nails. We passed out 365 nails, one for every day, to every member. Encouraged them to be in prayer for the project, to come back at the next service, Sunday. We had metal pails there, nice and loud, and drop your nails in the main aisle, and that's what they did. We had somewhere in the range of 7,500 nails returned, so prayers went up for the project. This project also allowed me to reach out to other churches. For some reason, I got phone calls steady, and I visited and tried to work with over 20 other churches to discuss building projects that they had. That was in New Brunswick and even in Nova Scotia. I'll give you one. Catholic Church in Riverview had asked me to go up and talk about a project they had. Their building was 20 years old. It needed roofing, siding, and windows. Only 20 years old. So anyway, as I met with them, there was a priest and 12 others, members of the church. Of course, I made a joke about the 12 disciples in that sense. But anyway, not knowing anybody in the room at the time, they didn't know how to take that. But anyway, I asked, how much for this project? $900,000, $970,000, I believe it was the actual number. $970,000 to do the roofing, siding, and windows. When I asked, how many families do you have? They said 700. I said, no, not members. How many families do you have? 700 families, members of that church. I laughed. And again, they not know who I was, didn't know how to take that. I said, well, if you would take your 700 families, and how long are you going to take a mortgage out for? They said 20 years. I laughed some more. They said, I said, if you take your 700 families, I know what you said. You're trying to raise $1 million. You have a lot of senior people. That scared a lot of them, I'm sure. But if you hadn't broke it down, you take your 700 families, take it so much a week, you would have $25 bill for each family, and you'd pay it off in 1 year. That is what they did in the end. I laughed about it because we had 70, not 700, envelope givers at the time we embarked on this project, and we were trying to raise not 900,000 but 3 million. I had said many times in a lot of meetings, my message was the Lord was going to build His church with or without us, so let's get on board. What do we have now in our new facility? We have double the size, square footage. We're all on one level, which certainly allows scheduling for some of us that aren't quite so young. It's less expensive to operate per square foot. We have air conditioning, certainly we didn't have in the other facility. We have 46-acre site, basically a field, very few trees. We have unlimited possibilities, 46 acres. Whatever we can imagine, we can look at doing here over the next few years. We have parking, lots of parking, and we're thankful for that. Nobody should get hit running across the road. From Main Street, our former church, we have taken the organ pipes, which you would see in the foyer, the entrance, and so on. We have the communion table, we have the pulpit. We have the bell out of the church, and that's a future project. When we get around to building the canopy out front, if somebody wants to donate $50,000, we could do that. But the bell from the old church will be incorporated into the canopy, and it'll be programmed to run off of all this high-tech stuff we have now to ring chimes in a variety of ways. We have stained glass windows that are being built, coming soon. Thankful to Donna Duffy raised enough money from selling little bits and pieces of the stained glass to pay for getting 2 windows done. And they'll be in the main sanctuary sometime soon. We have a community garden. It's going to expand this year with a greenhouse and so on, and we have a lot of good workers there, and Charlene Broad has certainly got her hands full and eager to go. We have a soccer field, underused. Some ideas there, could do some things on it, but we do have a soccer field. Training for fire and ambulance, we've done that over the years. Put on sessions where the fire and ambulance have rented our facility and so on. We've had Elections Canada in here more than once, a few times, and met here for several, run the elections and so on. We've put on large funerals to support some of the smaller churches. Our foyer is much, much larger. Used to be in the old foyer, it was, get out of my way, I'm trying to get out the door. Here people mingle, meet. It's a great place to see some ministry for the people that are new to our church. We have a much improved tech system allowing us to do this here today. It's a long way from the one little 8-foot table we used to have in the old church. And this new tech system has allowed us to survive COVID. It has brought us into an area that's new to many of us. It's allowed us to reach further afield than we've ever dreamed of before. So we're thankful for that. The effects of the tech improvements, unknown. Time will tell. Some of the stories and highlights. We had a cleanup crew come in every Friday. The construction crew didn't want us on the site, but I had arranged that we would come in every Friday, let the workers keep working 100% of their efficiency towards it, and we come in here with a group, 70-plus age group, and did a clean-up job every Friday. John Rice's crew were impressed with that, and it was a great time to mingle with each other too. The parking and so on, I think back to a meeting. I had proposed at one point in the old church to move the graveyard next door. I had gone to Mactaquac and looked at the 6 graveyards that were moved at that time. We had talked about hiring a bunch of the students from the University of Moncton and maybe exhuming some bodies, doing an evaluation of all the stones, and putting a stone per major family, if I can say it that way, down at the William Henry Steve's house. But when I was presenting that, Questa Layton, at that time I believe was 90 plus, Questa towards the end of the meeting said, "Jim, can I speak? I'm the oldest member of this church." And for those that don't know her, she lived on the other side of the graveyard. So I thought, am I ever in trouble now? Questa's comments were, "Jim, my husband Jack and I looked at doing that many, many years ago, sometime in the 60s. We weren't going to exhume bodies and do all that work you're talking about. We were going to pave over the whole thing." That's an older person for you. They wanted to see us move ahead. One of the highlights was certainly the votes. Most of the votes were well over 90% to move ahead in different areas, to accept the property, to change us and the whole bit. For various reasons, we did lose some people, and some people voted against it. My joy today is that many of those people that voted against it, that left and went elsewhere for a while, are in our church today. And I commend them for that. We lost some people and we gained some people, and that goes without saying. And I use that in the 20 churches that I've had discussions with. You will lose some people, but you'll gain some people too. Dollar cost, we owe some money. Most of us would like to think that we are paid off, but yes, we owe only, and I say it that way, $700,000. We've been in the building less than 10 years, but we certainly are in a good position. We only owe $700,000 on a building that's $3.5 million. Now, the new evaluation that we're doing through the insurance company right now, this building will be valued at very close to $6 million, and we only owe $700,000. Praise the Lord. In closing, I will say it's just a building. It is not a shrine. It's going to have wear and tear. When you put a lot of effort into this, as many of our members have, you don't like to see damage and so on. No, we don't. But it is just a building to use for the Lord's work. The opportunities are endless. We all need to allow the Lord to work through us. One of my other sayings is, we are here for Christ to use, We are here for Christ to use, not the other way around. We often forget that. We are here for Christ to use, not the other way around. Thank you for allowing me to be the chairman of the building committee and for sharing with you today. Thank you.